Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to Kate's Space. I'm Kate from Pixie Designs, and I would like to welcome everybody. It's been a while since I've done a video, and I'm feeling a little bit out of sorts with it all. Anyway, I want to try making some writing journals with you. This is the one I showed that I made myself. This cover is built from scratch. Now, these are basically journals that are packed full of papers with not much room for growth. There's a little bit, and excuse my writing, but as you can see, I'm doing little bits of very flat sort of collaging in it, but it's pretty much undecorated and it's basically just for writing. So a friend of mine sent me some Reader's Digest covers, and I haven't done anything with Reader's Digest for a while. They're a really nice size once they're made, but the cutting down of the papers can be a bit tedious because they need to be cut this way and this way to fit, or torn. So this is one I've made out of one of the Reader's Digest. I was just having a play. I've used this cute as pattern. I think Jo, my sister, gave me this fabric. I've wrapped a doily around and I've put this wee slide, and there's something that you can slide a little label down into here. It turned out pretty cute. Again, it's jam-packed full of pages, and there's only very minimal room for it to be fat. So it's very much designed for writing. Anyway, so I thought we'd make some together. It doesn't have to be a Reader's Digest journal book if you want to play along. I'm just finding the one I've got here. So here we have what I started with. Now, Reader's Digest books are glued, they're not sewn. And so basically the first thing we are going to do is gut it. How is everybody? I hope everybody's well. I had a little bit of a play making another one the other day, yesterday actually, and I was chatting away to Barb on FaceTime video, and I totally stuffed it up, so hopefully that's not going to happen today. It was so bad I actually threw it in the bin. So yeah, that was not a great moment, and I think it was because I was chatting and I wasn't focused. Okay, so to gut a book, and I'm sure you already know this, you pull that bit out there, so that's the hollow spine, and you grab this and you pull it away from the text block. And for this, because I'm not using the text block because it's glued and it's just not very interesting paper, I would cut closer to the text block because I don't care if I stuff that up, and I'd rather cut that than cut my spine. If you want to use your pages and they're sewn, you want to make sure that you don't cut there. So that was really easy. If you've got a nice sharp knife, it's not hard. And then this one's easier. Again, you cut. Hope you can see. I didn't even check on my computer that I was in thing. It's a bit blurry, isn't it? Anyway, you cut, do the same on the other side basically. You can use scissors. It's not imperative to use a knife. So there we go, and I won't be using any of the pages out of this because, like I said, they're glued, they're not stitched, so you only get a single thing. So we'll toss that aside. Where am I going to put that? Right there. Okay, so now we have this gutted book cover. I basically lift this and rip it back as far as I can. I know I've lifted some of that cardboard off, but that's all going to be covered. It really doesn't matter. And I'll do the same on this side as well. Get as much of that off as I can. And I'm going to strengthen the spine. So I've measured in here to see how wide the spine is. Now, you don't measure from board to board, you measure within that, and it's about an inch and a half, or 35, 36, 37, about 38 mil. Just under 4 centimeters. So I've cut that, and that's just manila folder. It's not really heavy. I've just done it like this. And I'm going to glue that in, and I'm going to tuck it up under these things. I mean, if you really like the cover, you don't need to cover it in fabric. You could just cover the spine, and I have done that before. I have these two here that I made ages and ages ago, and they're just sitting on my desk. And all I've done there is I've kept the covers as they are, and I've just covered the spine with this beautiful old vintage tapestry fabric and a bit of lace. This one's filled with quite plain, a few different papers. And this one here, again, I kept it pretty original. I've just put some corners on it, and this one is got a lot of sort of ledger papers and different papers in it. So yeah, so again, very simple, so you don't have to cover them in fabric, but I quite enjoy doing that. And I've got some fabrics I'd like to use, so lift this up. And we're going to glue this in and slide it in. Now it's a little bit long, it's pushing up against that, so I'm actually going to just cut a little bit off here, just a smidge, so that it doesn't do that. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so I'm going to get my glue. We don't have Fabri-Tac in New Zealand. I'm going to use Aleene's tacky glue. PVA glue works, which is probably just exactly the same as what this is. So that's all good. It's been a while since I've had a chat and done anything. I'm going to do this as a little bit of a series, hopefully, and I hope it will go better than what went yesterday. And we end up with some nice journals to go in the shop. And I want to also do a ephemera holder if anyone is interested in seeing how I did that. It's mine aren't amazingly perfect, but they are fit for purpose, which is what I want. And I made that big one, and I'll show that first and then go ahead and make one with you guys, because I want another one maybe a little bit smaller that I will use for my fussy cuts. Right, I'm just going to spread this glue. Slide this in under here, get it as even as possible in the middle. Hopefully you didn't get my head in shot there. Get it straight. Actually, it's when you're doing this and you're trying to get something straight, you realise that, man, they didn't make books very straight, and the older the book, the less straight it is. Some of the things are on such a weird angle. Right, I'm going to glue these bits back down. I'm going to have to get something to put this glue in upside down. I like the, you can get Aleene's tacky glue with the cap that sits like that, but this one doesn't, unfortunately. So, because it's very thick, it takes a while to make its way back down to the bottom. Right, so I'm going to glue these bits in place because the fabric is going to go over this edge. So I'm going to put that back as it was. Now the one thing I didn't do with the one I've already made is I didn't paint over the cover to just hide some of this pattern, and it's not a problem because it was kind of a bluey colour anyway, and you can't really see it, but I think with this one I'm going to paint it with some gesso. So that's what I'm going to do next. Just going to grab it. A bit of gesso or white acrylic paint, and again this is not necessary depending on how thick your fabric is, and this doesn't have to look pretty, it's just to push that vivid pattern back so that when we glue our fabric on it's not coming through. But actually the fabric that I'm using on this is quite thick. It's sort of more of a well, maybe it's upholstery fabric, I'm not sure, but it's thicker than the one I used before. It's not a light cotton, but if you're using quite a light cotton, then this is probably a good idea. Just paint it over. Got some exciting collaborations coming up. One of them is with Rach and Bella Crafts, the springtime garden collaboration, and although we are going into autumn, I thought, oh well, love a botanical theme, love a spring theme, so I thought, well, I might as well get involved. So I'm just going to be pretending that spring is coming rather than winter. It's autumn. Put a bit more on this dark bit here. So acrylic paint would work just as well as gesso. So that's that job done. Now, because videos, if you're waiting for things to dry, videos can take all day. So I'll put that aside to dry. Just put it on the floor. Here's one I did yesterday. So we've got our reinforced spine with the manila folder in there, and that's made it quite stiff, and I've got the pattern pushed back, and I've got some fabrics here. I've got one that's the same as mine, this one, which I really like, so I'm wondering whether I try that. It's got nice coverage of pattern, so it's just, you can see it's a sleeve of something that it was given to me. So I'm just trying to get this. And then again, it's like, what is the right way up? Because actually I would want that at the front. I want the most pattern I can have at the front. So what can we do? Let's have a look what we're going to see there. See, that's not, I kind of want that. We could go this way. Doesn't matter if it's that way. I don't think so, does it? Because that way I'm going to get lots and lots of the, yeah, I like that. So let's have a look. Oh, we're too close to the edge. So that's not really going to work. It's an awkward shape. What do we get if we go like this? That's all right too. So let's do that. So I'm not really sure how I get this straight. And whether it really matters. So I'm just going to make sure that I've got enough around each edge. Excuse me, so get your fabric. As you can see, I'm having a look at what I'm going to have on the front. I think that looks quite nice, coming down like that. So that's what I'm going to do. And then you need to cut it, so you've got about 1 inch, 2 centimeters-ish around each edge. Again, it's hard to get this straight because I'm not sure where because it's not a straight piece. So I'm just going to go with that and hope for the best. And then I'm going to cut along here. It's all going to be folded under, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And then it's going to be hidden on the inside. Here, so yeah, cut your piece of fabric that you want about 1 inch bigger than your book. Right, as you can see, mine's not. So I'm going to do, and it doesn't really matter which way up your book went. So I want my front here. Yeah, it doesn't really matter which is the front and the back anymore. So that's going to be my front. Okay, so now we're going to glue this on. Now the mistake I made yesterday, because I wasn't concentrating, and I used my PVA, which is a little bit runnier. You want a good amount of glue, but you need to get the balance between a really good coverage and not too much because you don't want it seeping through. This is quite a nice thick fabric, and so I should be okay. Now, I used the PVA and it was a bit runnier, and I obviously missed some pieces and it left bubbles of fabric, and basically you can't come back from that unless you cover it up. But it was yeah, I just did not a very good job. So this time I'm going to try and do a much better job of gluing this on and get a really good, take my time and get a really good coverage. The other glue I could use, and I haven't tried it and I don't want to for this, is this Collard, which is an acetone based glue like Fabri-Tac, but it's quite runny and it makes me nervous that I'm going to put too much on or miss spots. So I'm going to go with the tacky glue because it's thicker and I think I'll get a better coverage, and that's what I used for the other one and I didn't miss any spots. So that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, so now we need to cover this whole cover and glue our fabric on. So I'm gonna go with a little bit more glue this time because I know my fabric is thicker and it will handle it. It won't seep through. I'm going to go in this ridge here, right in there, and onto the side of the spine, and then I'm probably going to stop there and then do the back afterwards. Right, so now I'm going to spread it. So I just really want good coverage because I don't want to have to waste another book cover. It's pretty disappointing when you stuff something up so badly it can't be rescued. It probably could have been. I could have maybe covered it with something, but okay, so that's quite a lot. I'm just redistributing some of it. I'm really nervous now after yesterday. The thing is, if it's towards the edges, it's not such a problem because you can get your glue back under there. It's when it's like right in the center of your book. I guess that's the other thing about painting it white, is it's harder to see where the glue is. Whereas if it was still bright blue, I would be able to see where the glue was and wasn't. Okay, so I think I've done okay this time. I guess we will find out. Right. Now I'm going to turn this over. I should stop worrying about what's the front and the back because it doesn't matter. So this is the back. That looks like I've done first. Now let's have a look. Make sure I've got plenty around the edge of everything. Turn it over. Press it down and just okay. Spread it underneath the fabric. So I've got a little bit seeping through here, so there must have been sort of more of a thick coating there. So we'll see how that ends up looking. I might just lift that because I want to put some more glue under there. All right, I feel pretty good about that. Let's have a look that I've left enough. Oh, I've left it a bit fine there. I probably should have had it a little slightly over to that way. Right, now we're going to do the rest of the cover. I'm going to put a bit more down in this little ridge, down in this ditch there. Right, so go with lots again. This is quite thick. And like I said earlier, you can cover any book like this, and you can also make a book from scratch with this system as well, and you can make your own spine. And okay, there's lots here. I might have done too much, but let's just start spreading it around and we'll see. Quite a lot this time. I feel like I haven't left any gaps, but maybe I've done a bit much, so I'm just going to take a little bit off. of redistribute it where I can. I think this is my front, isn't it? Yes, it is. So I really don't want too much, and I don't want too little. Pretty tacky everywhere. Okay, I think that's good. Right, so I'm gonna just put it into that ridgy bit there and then smooth it out. Make sure that it's nice and smooth. There we go. Well, guys, we had such a busy February. As you know, I know that you know that we were away a lot. We went to a lot of music gigs, and honestly, I can't believe it's a week into March already. And I did mention in my last video that, you know, already the weather is just suddenly, it was funny, it was almost like end of February, beginning of March. The crisp morning started. Like this morning I went for a walk with the doggos, and I had to wear long pants and a long sleeve top because it was chilly. David's away. He's gone on a walk down, a big hike down in the South Island with one of his oldest friends, long-time friends, and yeah, so he's gone. So I'm home alone. I've got plenty of time to get on with some crafting, so that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to get some videos done. All right, so there we go. We've got our fabric on thus far, and I'm liking that. I think that's really pretty. And I may do something with the spine, a little bit of extra something with the spine, I don't know. So now let's do our corners. Now, again, this is something I get a little bit nervous about because you need to leave a little bit there to cover this up. Although I may actually put some metal corners on it anyway. And that's one thing you can do if you do stuff up your corners. You can put some metal corners on there to disguise, you know, to strengthen it and to also hide the fact that maybe you've just left a little bit there. So we're gonna cut across this way. I kind of go in at an angle and out, and I'm gonna try and leave enough to cover that bulky, because it's quite thick, so you need to leave quite a bit. So I'm gonna try not to leave, I'd rather leave too much and go back and change it. Whoops. So there we go. That, see, yeah, you do need to leave quite a lot to cover up that corner. So I'm gonna try, this one's, there's not much room here for error. So yeah, in at an angle and out, and some people just go straight across. I don't know which is best. This is just the way I do it. And probably don't need quite that much along here, so I can trim that off. Okay, and I do the short sides first. No reason, just do. I don't know if that's how you're meant to do it, but that's how I do it. Right, so I'm going to put lots of glue here because this is not going to show because it's on the inside, and I want a little bit of glue to just be on this edge here. Oops, can you see there? And I'll just spread it around so it's nice and thick and on that corner. And then I'm going to fold this up. I want to go along there like that and then fold that up. So I didn't need quite that much that way. I'll just take some of that off. again, it's on the inside of the book, so it's all good. And then I'm just going to get my glue and touch on the corners here to just help prevent that from fraying. Okay, and then I'm going to do my other end. Maybe go a bit easier on the glue this time. It's a fine line between not enough and too much. So yeah, I just want to get that edge covered. That's that. And then fold it up. Just go along that edge there so it's nice and glued on that edge. And on this side we need a bit more because we've got a bit more fabric. Or we could trim the fabric off, I guess. So let's just glue it down. We can go back in with our scissors later, but again, this is going to all be covered. And then a bit of glue on the edge of this fabric just to stop that fraying. So I've got quite a lot of fabric in these corners here. So we'll see if that's going to be too much or not. Then I'm going to do my long ends. And I will be probably cutting a little V here and here just to stop too much bulk of fabric in this part and this part. But when you do that, make sure you don't come up too close to this bit that's folded over, or else you're going to end up with a hole there. So again, it's more glue. I'm quiet. So I'm enjoying the fact that March is a much quieter month, although in saying that we are travelling up north to my mum's, David and I, and my brother's coming. He lives in Auckland, and we have bought Mum a greenhouse for her birthday, and we're going to assemble it in her garden. So it's a bit of a working bee. Okay, just fold that over along there, and I'm going to press it down. So I folded that little, I folded that little corner in to cover that, and then as you can see that fabric's there, so have a play with that, and then that will hide that corner, and it just it's neat. I don't know if you can see that. The camera doesn't like that, does it? And then I'm going to do that at this end as well, like fold that little bit over to cover the end, and then fold that up like that. Then I'm going to do a real naughty thing with my sewing scissors and cut while there's glue, but I'm just going to cut a bit of a V here like that, and here. Just careful not to take it up too far, but just prevents too much bulk in that area. And then pull that down and that down. Ooh, getting a bit sticky. So that's that edge done, and it looks nice and neat. Yeah, it's a bit bulky there, and depending on how thick your fabric is, you are going to get a bit of bulk there, but I'd rather have it bulky and covered than not enough fabric there to cover up the cardboard. Okay, so let's repeat that on this side. So just push that little bit in there like that, and then that's going to fold up like that. And again here, fold that little bit in like that, and then that's going to go up like that. Right, and then we get our glue. And then once our cover is done, and we'll leave it to dry, we need to think about choosing our papers, and that is a long job. If you're doing a writing journal like this, one of these is going to be, at least one, maybe both of them, there's a lot of signatures, and so that's actually quite a lot of paper, and it takes a good while to get them sized, but we will do it on video to a certain extent. I don't know, maybe we'll do a few signatures on video. Whoops, now I've flicked that up where I've glued it. So I'll just change that, just fix that again. So yeah, I've got a bit much glue there. Okay, and then we're going to fold that up. So I've folded that little corner, and I've pulled this up like that, and then I'm just going to do my little cuts here to reduce the bulk in those foldy bits where the spine folds. Push that down. There we go. Get rid of all these little scrappy bits, and I've got very sticky fingers now. Make sure that's glued. So I'm pretty happy with those corners, because the papers that we use to cover will cover all those bits. There we go, and so that's my front. And we just need to leave that to dry. There we go. So that's that one, and then we've got the other one drying, so we'll cover that one in fabric. And then when we come back next time, we will be, what will we be doing? I think we will be choosing the papers. I think that's probably the next step. And then once I've chosen the papers, I decide how much more I want to do on the cover, whether I want to cover the spine. I'm going to do a hidden spine, but you don't, if you were only doing a few signatures, you wouldn't need to. You could sew through this spine. Because I'm going to try and do lots and lots of signatures and make it a writing journal, I will hide my stitching in. Yeah, and decide whether I want to put anything on the front. I may just keep this the same as my one and put a little plate on the front and keep it quite simple. And whether I want a closure or not, I still haven't put a closure on here. I've got a little hole. I'll probably put 2 eyelets in and tie it with something. I was actually going to put a hitch post in here. That's why the hole's there. But the ones I have, the screwy bit that goes through and then it screws here wasn't long enough, and so I couldn't get it to tighten. So now I'm going to probably put eyelets in and tie it. But my writing journal has nothing to close it. It's just because it's not bulky. It's got no pockets. Well, it has got pockets, but it doesn't have anything in it. So it doesn't really need one. Right, so that is us. That's what we've done today. We've painted our cover with some gesso to hide that really bold pattern so it doesn't show through the fabric. and we have strengthened the spine with some just lightweight card. I haven't strengthened these bits here because the fabric is really strong, and we'll do that. And then also there will be fabric on the inside as well, so that will be adequate for this book. Sometimes I'll put masking tape down here, but I mean you can do overkill with the strengthening and then just basically you're just bulking it up too much. Right, and then we chose our fabric, cut it to size, and then covered our journal. So yeah, I think the key is not too much glue, not too little glue, because you want your fabric to be completely flat and stuck, and you don't want any air bubbles or places where it hasn't stuck down, where it's going to lift. So I feel like I've done a good job with this one. I'm really happy. I hope you like that, and I hope it was helpful. If you're following along, let me know. I'd be thrilled to know that someone is following along. So if you're watching this, grab a book cover that you don't really like the cover. And for this one we haven't had to extend the spine, but often I do that as well. Anyway, I should stop chatting. Thanks so much for watching, and yeah, thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you're all well. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.